All right, today we're going to talk about playing the djembe, how to make the tone, the slap, and the bass, also some kind of basic rhythms just to get started. So when you're striking the drum, if you can line up your hand in a very precise way every time you hit, you won't hurt your hand. So when you're kind of getting into it and starting to just really start to feel it or whatever, it is okay. You're going to maybe hurt your hand a little bit. But really, if you focus on keeping this area right here hitting in this way, so this is called a bearing edge. It's the wood, okay? So when you go to strike this slap and the tone, you want to line that up just right in this position. So when you come down, you can either let your fingers be a little bit open and let your tips of your fingers are what's going to bounce. They're going to bounce right off. So when your hand comes down, you're not grabbing like this or you got to let this kind of just be a whip. And you'll start to feel it. You'll see how it works. It takes a minute. The tone, that's called slap. The tone, when you close your fingers together and you let this whole area of your fingers hit the skin, not on the bearing edge. Again, the bearing edge is here, so all this region in your hands here is striking here for tone. So it makes a lower thud sound versus a slap. So we're using a flam there. One hand's hitting just before the other. It's called flam. It's a really nice sound. You can practice that. It's a really good one. You can practice that like tone, tone, slap, and the slaps with the flam. Both slap. But you can do the flam with tone and slap. Or you can do it with bass. Right? You can figure this stuff out. And that was part of what we wanted to cover today, is like, well, what if you just want to kind of jam out and not necessarily play in a traditional West African setting or even learn traditional West African rhythms? So when you mix things together and start to get different sounds and try all these different things, you can develop maybe your own style, and that is very useful because it's just in the moment, it's your heart space, you're playing the sounds, you're feeling where kind of the energy is moving and how you want to kind of direct and experience it. So just don't get caught up in your head trying too hard maybe to play all the prescribed things, or think I need to play this rhythm, just stay with this rhythm. And of course, if you're in a group or you're doing a certain thing, obviously, then there's different. What I'm talking about right now is like by yourself, right? Or you and a friend, and you're talking about how are we going to play? What are we going to play? And you can experiment, So a lot of times I see people hitting with their fingertips on the edge. It makes a sound. It's not, against the law. But it's not a traditional technique at all. I mean, to get the high-pitched sound, you hit the slap, just like that, or the tone, or the bass. Those are the basic three sounds in like professional djembe playing. You got a closed slap, you got a lot of other things, but we're just kind of want to get started here. So let's talk about some rhythms you can play. So this first one is not a traditional rhythm at all, really. It's just counting. You're just like counting to 8. And I am using a technique where I'm just touching here. I'm not hitting. So if you use this, see the breathing? You just try to remember to breathe while you play. Deeper breathing. Now I'm accenting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm accenting on the 5, which looks like this with one hand. And I'm touching in between. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once I bring the left hand in, the left hand is just touching. It's not even hitting. It's just. If you can keep this right hand, this is not stopping. You bring in the left hand. Ways to practice that, so you get good with this being like solid, and then this or places with that. You can switch it to more bass. So if you're doing this, then you go back. Then you go back. So you can explore and kind of just, it's almost a way to kind of get warmed up, kind of hear the sounds, do something that's just going to give you some variation, and see if maybe certain processing is happening, because you might be working through some stuff. Just pick up the drum and start playing that. So then talk about a traditional West African rhythm, okay? So Yoli is like definitely one of my favorite rhythms. It's got different accompaniments. So if you play the first accompaniment, you're switching hands every time, right? It's a really good, it's a rudiment pattern where you're doing this middle, back, back, middle, back, back, and you're switching hands every time. You could do it like this. So you're not switching, your right hand is more dominant. That's another way to do it. So that would be the first accompaniment. Second accompaniment sounds like this. Slap, slap, tone, tone, slap, 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 tone, tone. Again, you can double hands in there if you want. We'll go really slow. Okay, you put that on top. Who's playing this, you come in. Sounds really nice. So that's basically your, I didn't talk about the bass. Is one of the easier sounds to make, but you can do it wrong. Sometimes it looks like if you're watching somebody do it, looks like they're hitting with this heel of their hand somehow, or sometimes I've seen people do this cup thing. Really, just place your hand flat and bounce that whole palm, and you'll realize this region here are kind of like the strong points that are really pulling that sound. You can really tune into this. This is a goat skin. This is, it's intimate in a way. You're starting to feel like, okay, how am I touching this skin to kind of like get it to vibrate? And so when you press down, even put your hand flat, press down, you're seeing, okay, the skin's pressing back at me right here and here the most. So when you really want to get as much bass, you're directing that energy and you're bouncing off. You are not staying on there. That kills the sound. Any way you do that, that'd be a closed sound. So really, we don't want to go over that yet. But that was just our little overview. We've got a couple of DVDs. We've got some videos online. We've got a CD. We've got all this stuff. So please keep in touch, and thanks so much.